Welcome back to the Miskatonic Test Lab. I'm Jake, and in today's episode of Fieldwork, we're delving into the Arkham League. BGG user Kengi has created this as kind of a set of challenges for the whole community to participate in. The general idea for this particular challenge, which is the first entry in this series of challenges, is that we're all going to be put up against the same scenario, Essex County Express in this situation, and we're all going to be bringing the same deck. It's going to be a Rex Murphy deck, but the twist is that it's a bunch of random cards using the Ultimatum of Chaos setup. So as you can see, there's some silly choices that are in here, like using Contraband as one of your only splashes, out of faction splashes, or spending extra experience on 2 charismas when you only have 2 allies. And one of them is pretty dispensable. So you can see why it's called Rex's Chaos and why this is kind of going to be a fun challenge for everybody. All right, so if you don't want to see any spoilers, you can go ahead and stop this video right now. Go do your own challenge, Arkham League challenge with Rex's Chaos. Go submit it in the BGG page, which I'll link in the description, and then come back and finish watching. But if you want to see how I did, go ahead and continue watching, and I'll meet you at the table. So at the end of this solo standalone mode standard difficulty play of Essex County Express, we're going to be scored on the amount of health and sanity we have left, the amount of victory points we earned, and we're going to reduce that number by the total amount of doom placed. So we could go well into the negatives here, and let's see how we do. All right, looks like starting out, we have an Unexpected Courage, Rex's Curse, Dr. Milan, and 2 emergency caches. I'd imagine that we're going to want to get rid of some of those emergency caches in favor of some icons. And we have the Charismas and the Higher Education in play. We put the, we do the emergency cache to the side and Rex's Curse to the side. We go ahead and draw a magnifying glass and a perception. That's going to be great. We have a good variety of pips. We have to, the whole goal of Essex County Express, just in case you've never played this, is that you have to get all the way from the left train car to the right train car. Well, it's actually called the engine. But you can't move on to the next location until you've discovered all the clues at your current location. My first action is to play Dr. Milan. I put him down right away and I try to investigate. We also have magnifying glass, which goes down fast, which brings us up to an intellect value 4, 5, 6 for investigating, and that's exactly what we're going to do with our second action. We're going to investigate intellect 6 versus 1 shroud, and we auto fail. All right, so we're going to try it again with our third action, see if we have better chances, and we get a 0 that time. So we do take that clue. We made sure to shuffle that chaos deck really good. All right, so we're going to take that 1 clue, and we're going to move on to the upkeep phase. As you can see, by the way, my resources and clues are underneath the card viewer over there in the sidebar. So for upkeep, we gain a resource, and we draw into the vest, which does have some pips that might be useful. For Mythos, we add a doom, and we have to do a willpower test. So we do put Unexpected Courage because we're trying to finish this as quickly as possible without any failure, and we are able to succeed. So that gives us the chance to move for our first action, revealing 2 clues in a 3 shroud location. But after you either have to discard 2 book icons worth of cards or take 2 horror. And we don't want to take horror because that's one of our win conditions, is to get the best score possible without taking horror or damage. All right, so for our second action, we're going to go ahead and test, and we auto-fail again. So for our final action, we're going to try to test again, and we get a -1 this time. So again, that was 6 versus 3. With the -1, we do succeed, and we're able to get both of those clues because Rex can, if he succeeds by 2 or more, then he gets both of the clues. Luckily, we succeeded by exactly 2. All right, so for upkeep, we're going to draw a card and gain a resource. Looks like we got Encyclopedia. And really, we don't have a lot of time to put down most of these assets, but we're really going to be using them more for their clues, for their pips. All right, so we get the Grappling Horror, who is just an awful thing to see right now, but we're going to hopefully try to evade him, even though we really have a low agility value. So I'm just thinking about that right now, debating what I want to do. Can I possibly fight him? Can I possibly get 3 damage on him before we can move? I think our only option is to hope that we can evade him so we can continue on. He does have Hunter, so we're going to have to not only evade him, but move. And then if we evade him, he won't be able to follow us until the following round. That's our logic. So we're going to put everything we have into this evade test, giving us +2 to our agility in order to try to beat 2. So that brings us to, I think, 5 versus 2, because we have 3 agility. We pull a 0, which is great. So we do evade him, and we're having some difficulty with the zooming in and out of Lackey. I might have to restart it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I restart it, but nothing changes, and we're back in business. So yeah, back to where we were. We evaded him, and we're going to go ahead and move away from him. Otherwise, he will just ready and engage us again. So for our second action, we're going to have to move, revealing a 2 shroud, 2 clue location, which has similar text on it saying that when we enter, we have to discard 2 pips, but this time willpower pips. All we have is an emergency cache, unfortunately. So we're going to take 2 horror, and we're going to attribute that directly to Dr. Milan, losing that valuable intellect icon. And for our third action, we're going to do a test with only 5 intellect this time versus 2, but we do get our awesome Elder Sign token, and we're debating whether or not we want to use the auto fail to draw the cards, and I think that might have been a good plan. I think I'm just worried that I'm going to draw into weaknesses, but pips are so important in this scenario for avoiding those kinds of weird location effects that I should have maybe just drawn and then started, my first action of my next turn could have been to grab the clue, but anyway, I just decided to grab the clue and continue on. For upkeep, I got the Defiance, and I draw a card. I gained a resource. We get Ancient Evils, which forces us to advance for the Mythos phase, and we have to get rid of the leftmost location. Any investigators there die, any enemies there die, and we have to lose all the rest of the clues that we have. And we continue on from there with another 3 Doom Threshold agenda. All right, so we do get to move, and revealing a 4 Shroud location with the same exact text, but this time saying that we need to discard 2 combat icons, 2 fists, pips. And we don't have that, so we're going to have to take the 2 damage from entering this location. There's no way around it. We're now reading the reference card, just in case we want to choose a particular token for Defiance, if we're going to commit that, because now, remember, we only have 5 intellect, and this is a 4 Shroud location, so we really want to include this Defiance, and I think what we're going to do is choose, which one do we choose? The bottom one. Yeah, okay. Thanks, past self, for reminding me that I'm choosing the Elder Thing, because it's a -3. And we get a +1, so it didn't matter. We get that. But, better safe than sorry, I guess, is like the constant motto of the Arkham League. And for our final action, we're going to enter that location, get as far away from the grappling horror as possible. And unfortunately, we enter a location with the same exact text, but this time we need to discard agility icons, which we cannot do. So we get 2 more damage. So now we're sitting at 4 damage, and things quickly went sour for us a little bit. Hopefully we can get the rest of these clues and escape as fast as possible. For the enemy phase, we forgot to move the grappling horror. I guess we were just too caught up with all the damage and everything like that. For the Mythos phase, oh no, maybe we did move the grappling horror. It was just that the last location to the left disappeared, so that's what threw me off. For the treachery that we just pulled from the encounter deck, we have to choose a card type and discard all the cards of that type. But unfortunately, I made a mistake here. I should have discarded both of my cards because Search for the Truth is an event as well. But I just kept it, maybe thinking it was a skill. So anyway, that's probably gonna, this is maybe all null and void, but I'm gonna continue on anyway. And we get this clue. We beat it 5 versus 1. We get a -1, so we do beat it by at least 2, and we get to take both of those clues. Then we immediately with our second action, we immediately do another test, and we get another -1. And I assure you, we did shuffle that. gaining us the third clue, allowing us to move to the next location. And it's a 3-shroud location. Nothing bad happens to you when you enter it, so that's nice. But it can't be investigated. You have to use an action to investigate it and spend 3 resources to do that. I probably missed some Dr. Milan triggers in the beginning. I was going super fast, as you can tell, but it doesn't matter because I have 6 resources, so I can take all the clues from that. All right, for the Mythos phase, we pull another Ancient Evils, advancing us again. So that's really bad because one of the main things about this challenge is that you get -1 point for every doom that you place. So these Ancient Evils are really kind of the worst case thing. We would almost rather get another enemy or something, or have to discard more cards. That would be ideal. So we use the action ability on the location to spend 3 resources to gain the 1 clue for our first action. Second action, we move to the end. And if we make it there, then we get to advance the act, I believe. So that's what we do. We advance the act. And we have to do a test when we advance the act, either an agility or a combat test, and our agility is higher than our combat, so we're going to probably do the agility test even though we don't have much to help us boost it. And if we fail, we get a mental trauma. We do commit our illegal card to the test, bringing us to an evade of 4 versus, I think the test is for 3. And we get an auto fail anyway, so we get a mental trauma. And it wouldn't have mattered because we played an illegal card anyway, so maybe all is right in the world. All right, so we add that horror to ourselves as a mental trauma, and we take a peek at the Act 2. And all that says is that we have to take the clues on this last location, and it's a shroud of 4. And as soon as we take both of those clues, we can advance. So we commit scrying, and we get a -2. So we succeed. We break even. And our last hope is to try to get a -1. Or to hope that during this upkeep phase, we get something useful that'll bump up our intellect a little bit. So for upkeep phase, for enemy phase, we have to move that enemy closer to us, and then upkeep phase, we draw into the mind over matter, which is not really going to help us because it really only helps us for combat. And for the Mythos phase, we get a doom, and we get another Ancient Evils, putting another doom. Luckily, we don't advance the agenda this time. And for this final test, we have a 5 intellect versus 4 shroud. We do commit the mind over matter for no reason because that wouldn't have helped us. But luckily, we only get the cultist, which is -1, and we're able to resolve and finish. All right. Well, thank you for joining me for that Arkham League challenge, Rex's Chaos challenge. Once you're done with your scenario, you add up the remaining health, remaining sanity, victory points, and count how much doom you've advanced the agendas by. For me, I had 2 health remaining, 8 sanity remaining. We scored 2 victory points, and we placed 8 doom. So that gives us a total score of +4 for this challenge. So once you do that, you submit that to Kengi, and he's going to compile all of those scores and see who did the best. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more episodes of Fieldwork, where we try to keep our finger on the pulse of the community and try to see for ourselves what everybody else is up to and what everybody else is doing. Stay tuned for more custom scenario playthroughs, and stay tuned for possibly some other segments. I want to try to do some more deck spotlights. I'm thinking of a segment called In the Know. See you next time.